What it is, what it was, what it could be, y'all. Welcome back to Disc Golf Justice. Today I'm going to be going over my top 5 most used discs of 2022. Before we get into it, if you guys are new to the channel, make sure you smash that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of my disc reviews, tournament coverage, or any of the challenges that I upload here to the channel. So let's not waste any more time. My number 5 most used disc, the MVP Photon. The numbers on this are 11, 5, -1.5, and 2.5. The Photon has been my go-to distance driver ever since I made the switch from the Innova Destroyer. I actually bagged 3 of them in 3 different plastics. I got one in the Proton plastic, which this thing is really stable. I use this as my super trustworthy, super reliable. I know I can put all my effort into it downhill into a headwind and it's still not going to turn over on me. It's going to have that reliable finish. I got this one in max weight in the Fission plastic, because this one is like, if I had to describe it, it flies like a Grace, but a little bit more stable than a Grace. And then I also have one in the Neutron plastic, but I have this as super lightweight, 163 grams. And this is when I'm trying to bomb, or if I want good distance really effortlessly, because I don't have to put a lot of effort into this and it's gonna go pretty far. It's still quite stable for being 163 grams, which is surprising. Now, I wouldn't say the Photon is the best beginner-friendly disc. It's definitely for a little bit more advanced arm speed, or if you go a lightweight one, I mean, if you go light enough weight, it could probably still work for you, but I wouldn't really recommend this as your first disc. Disc number 4, the Dynamic Disc Felon. Mine in particular is the Ricky Wysocki Orbit Fusion Felon, and there's rarely around that the Felon doesn't come out. Whether I'm trying to get myself out of a bad spot that I put myself into, or if I just want a disc that I know I can throw off the tee and I can completely put full trust into it to not turn over, that's where the Felon shines. The Felon is great for forehands, it's great for backhands, and it's fantastic for windy days. Every single time it's windy, which is very often here in Sydney, I am bringing the Felon with me, no doubt about it. However, again, not the best beginner-friendly disc. If you're a beginner, definitely not the first disc I would go out and pick. Moving on to disc number 3, this is a new addition to the bag. It's only recently dropped, and that is the Trash Panda Inner Core. I absolutely love the way this thing flies. It's so effortless, and you can get pretty good distance for it being a 2-speed. It has such a beautiful flight, the way it just holds straight and barely gently turns over, or if you put it on some hyzer, it's like a perfect dead straight hyzer flip disc. So my favorite time to use the Inner Core is when I'm going for the ace, because it's really fun to it's almost like you're playing catch with the basket with this disc. And I also like if I'm going for like a long approach shot that I'm really trying to make, like I'm really running it, I'm going to use the Inner Core. I'm still trying to get my first ace with the Inner Core. Like, there's no disc I want an ace more with than the Inner Core. It's so fun to throw and so beautiful to watch fly, but I still haven't got it yet. 2023 is the year. The Inner Core is going to be actually a fantastic disc if you're a beginner. I would say it's slightly more stable than my Dynamic Disc Deputy, but it's still pretty understable to neutral disc, and it'd be fantastic for a beginner. Alright, disc number 2, we're moving on up there. This one's gonna have some fans and it's gonna have some haters. We're going with the Axiom MV. Until I had the Trash Panda Inner Core, it probably was my favorite disc to throw. Other than the Buzz, I think the Buzz is the only other disc that feels better in my hand. The MV just feels so good in my hand. I personally like it in the Eclipse plastic because that way I can give it a full rip. I don't have to hold back on it, and I don't really have to worry about it turning over, even if there's a bit of a headwind. It's pretty stable, but it's not too stable. It's like a perfect point and shoot. I found myself, if I'm throwing a putter off the tee, it's most likely going to be the MV. And the MV is actually the first disc and the only disc that I've ever gotten an ace with. Not this one in particularly. I ended up leaving that disc out in the field after doing some form work. But I ordered a new one, very, very beginner friendly. If you are a beginner, I would recommend getting the Electron Firm plastic. It's a little less stable. Now, I know a lot of people think the MV is overhyped, but I do truly think it is a really good disc. I'm not gonna say it's the best disc out there, but it's definitely one of the best discs I've ever thrown. And last but not least, my number 1 most used disc in 2022, the Discraft Zone. I know, another overhyped disc, but I've only been playing 6 months, and just like you, when I first started, I went and got every disc that they told me to get online, and everyone told me to get the Zone, so here I am. That being said, I do really love the Zone. Probably the Get Freaky Zone was the absolute most used, but I do bag 2 zones. I got one in the Get Freaky, and then after making that Razor Claw vs. Zone video, I went and got an ESP Zone as well, the sick pink beautiful color. So I use the Get Freaky zone when I don't really want much ground play after the shot. I want it to pretty much sit right where I throw it. Even though this is a late addition to the bag, my plan is to use the ESP zone for when I do want ground play, when I want some skip or I want something to slide a little bit more. That's when I'm going for the ESP. This one has kind of become one of my favorite discs in my bag. Not necessarily the throw, but just because of the color. Like, I just absolutely love the way this disc looks. These aren't necessarily the most beginner friendly discs, but once you can handle the stability, having a reliable approach disc like the zone can really shave strokes off your scorecard. There you have it, guys, my top 5 most used discs of 2022. Let me know what you guys think about my list down in the comments, and I'm curious, what are your guys' most used discs? Maybe next year I'll throw some of your guys' favorite discs. As always, if you like the video, make sure you give it a thumbs up. If you want to see more, make sure you smash that subscribe button. That way you don't miss out on any of my future content, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.